but we're about to be. We're about to be. I promise we're about to be. There we go. Okay. Hello, guys. Let me start this all over again. Welcome back to another episode. I'm super excited to have you here join us. If this is your first time joining us, we do the show live on X every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can also find us on all of your favorite streaming platforms. Joining us today, I honestly did not do this purposely. And when I had you both on, I realized that there's a really cool connection between both of you that you probably don't even realize. First, I'm going to ask you on the audio purposes of it, make sure that you're muting your phone so that it doesn't, like, we don't get two audios on here. But Mumbot and Neuro, welcome to the show. Did you both know, Mumbot, we're gonna start with you. Did you guys know that you both have like a ghost associated to your brands? That is so crazy to me that you come from completely different sides of Web3 and you both have something that, like, your brand includes something that has to do with ghosts. Literally, you both have it in your profile. So introduce yourself, and then I know it's weird. It's so cool, though. It turned out perfect. Mumbot, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, everybody. I didn't know that. That is really cool. That's funny. What?
Yeah.
Is that guy a ghost? The floating head guy?
No, but he's gonna get into it. Neuro, what is it?
Can you guys hear me? Or am I getting a weird echo?
Yes. But there's an echo, so make sure that you put your phone, like, talk to us on the stream instead of on your phone. Mute your phone.
Yeah, for some reason I'm not.
Perfect.
Is this any better?
Yeah.
Okay, for some weird reason I'm not getting audio on my speakers. Let me see. Hang on one second. I'm so sorry. Let's see.
No problem. No, that's also good. You talking through spaces? Okay.
Belle, I like your neon sign. Did you have that made?
Thank you. Yes, had it made. Thank you.
It's cool to see people.
Mumbot, can you hear Neuro?
I can hear. Oh no.
Okay.
I can't hear Neuro.
No, you can't hear him. Okay, and before we carry on, I want to say I had to update the link for today's show. We actually had a lot of RSVPs that were going to come on, and I don't think that they are getting the reminders now because I had to update that. So if I could ask everybody to please retweet so it can hit back on the algorithm, that would be amazing. While Neuro is getting all of the technology set up, Mumbot, I want to start just talking to you and reintroducing you. And I want to say that I've been following you for a really long time, and I heard you speak at a conference in New York. I want to say in 2021, I think is when it was. And you were so smart and so on it. And I know that you've been in NFTs for a minute now. I would consider you an OG in the space. So, what is your brand about? Who are you? Why do you do what you do?
Oh my goodness. Thank you. That's so sweet. I also want to say I'm a huge fan of yours, and I caught the show that you did with Logic, my good friend Logic, Julian Gilliam, and Ed Balloon, and I gotta tell you, I was like completely blown away by that show that day. I mean, I was like running an errand or something, so I had it on in my car, and then I was like, I couldn't get out of the car until the whole show was over because it was so good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like if anybody hasn't heard that one, go back and listen to it. It's epic, super inspiring. But yeah, about me, well, I'm an artist, and I am also I'm in like a transitional phase. I feel like artists are always in transitional phases, but I guess I'm kind of known for my 2D art and also my physicals, Mumbot World brand, and I make plush, I make toys, and also, I am the founder of Ghost Club, international creative community.
You also did podcasts,
right? I
right?
do. Yes, I have a Ghost Coffee podcast. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is really something that I absolutely enjoy doing, and I have 4 episodes that I have to get cracking. They're done. They're like recorded and they're amazing, and I have to get cracking on at some point. That's yeah. I don't know how people do it like every week. I can't even imagine, but
It's hard.
yeah, respect.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard, but you know, it's worth every second.
Totally. And what I was gonna say too is one reason that's so important is that you're giving uh, a platform to people to talk about all the things that they're building and doing, both behind the scenes and the front facing stuff. But like being able to get into the nitty gritty in a conversational way is huge.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. Neuro, let me check with you and see if we got it figured out?
Yeah, I think we're good. Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Then, yeah, this guy was causing problems back there, but yeah, the ghost connection, I guess we could dive into that. It'll probably come up naturally, but so happy to be here and thanks for having me.
Of course, super happy to have you join us. I was introduced to Neuro on another space that I do called NFA. We partner with NFT Now and with Ninja Alerts. And Neuro came on to talk about the ordinal drop that he is working on right now. But the project itself is one of those like, whoa, where did that even come from? And how did you even connect the dots? So I want to give you an opportunity, Neuro, to introduce yourself and if you want to dive into it right now, or of course it'll start coming up, but share with us right now who you are.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Phil. Yeah, so my name is Neuro. Comes from my love for the brain and all things kind of experimenting with reality and psych and just finding kind of cool experiences through art. So I guess my background's a little atypical. So I'm a science person. I was in medicine, and then the medical system kind of like failed me personally and my family. A lot of people were told that there's just no treatments for them with cancer. My brother had bipolar. I've dealt with something on the mood spectrum as well, and this was in like 2015 where I said, like, what's the point in devoting my life to this field where I'm not getting any of the kind of help and care for my own family. So somehow, crazily enough, I kind of fell into the crypto rabbit hole in Bitcoin at that time. I was kind of into this idea of Ethereum as this world computer, and this idea, could we like build out a better medical system? Can we build out like better ways to do research like on chain and fix some of the problems I was dealing with? And I was kind of just doing a bunch of research, doing like work in AI and kind of like broadly into decentralized research in the crypto space, kind of making art on the side until 2020. And that's when my brother passed away. And I was like, all right, this is, we had just had a beautiful baby girl, and I just got married, and I was like, all right, I need to kind of step back and like this is my time to dive into the neuropsych world fully. And so at that time, I kind of enjoyed the bull run in 2021 and all that, and just was just kind of in the space loosely, just collecting, kind of experimenting with stuff. But it wasn't until Ordinals came out and that I learned about it almost exactly 1 year ago, a little more than a year ago. And I went to the meetup with Casey in Oakland, and along with a lot of other folks who were there. And it just it just really clicked that I didn't know exactly how I wanted to do it, but I knew that ordinals were the space in which I wanted to experiment with these crazy ideas I had about channeling my experiences, like accelerating research for cancer patients, creating communities. But I wanted to do it on ordinals, but for the neuropsych space. And so since then, basically been committed to trying to build out the technology and experiment with different art through a community project we created called Cypherpunk Lab, where we build technology for artists. And so spent a lot of this past year, really learning and honestly like teaching myself how to code, and trying to get to a point where I could like experiment on Bitcoin ordinals with the kind of art I wanted to create. And so that is where I got to the Neurorealm. And the Neurorealm is this cool kind of neural generative art project. And so I paint these masks. Like this is one of the masks. I paint all these physical masks that are inspired by the cypherpunks movement, and then I digitize them, and I have inscribed my brain data on Bitcoin. So I wear this like open BCI EEG cap, and so my brain data is on Bitcoin, and I use it to like glitch out this art. So I have all these different pieces where like this there's a piece with this mask that's titled I'm Golden, where it kind of glitches out every time I blinked my eyes. And so I'm kind of using this neural generative art to experiment with like this idea of what is the mind, what is reality, can we interface with Bitcoin in some interesting way, because there's my brain data that is living on Bitcoin. So it's like, is that a brain on Bitcoin? Because what it's doing is like each time it's blinking, there's I'm kind of sampling that data, and every time it detects a blink, like this art glitches out. So the Neurorealm is basically this it's just definitely pretty unique experiment, I think, where the core of it was this idea that like no matter where we're all at in life, I believe that we can use art to kind of power ourselves up, even if we don't feel like we're capable of it. We can like put on a cap, and so this EEG cap, like I'm working on to be able to take your brain data and actually make it generate art just by wearing this cap. And so we do in-person events. I have this studio and gallery space in San Francisco, and we're kind of expanding to all sorts of other places. But the Neurorealm is this cool art kind of collective, this neurofeedback technology I'm building, and just a community of people that want to experiment with hacking the mind, making art, and just kind of coming around to support each other.
That's awesome. It's so incredibly different. Why ordinals? Why on Bitcoin?
It's a great question. I think Bitcoin was how I got into, the blockchain space back in kind of 2013-ish, or a little bit later. And, when I met Casey and the other community at the Ordinals meetup, it just kind of clicked that like this opportunity to do something that's like truly on chain with Ordinals, plus the ability to actually shape like the Ordinals protocol itself. And, like my co-founder of Cypherpunk Lab, IYKYK, is one of the top contributors to the protocol, and some of the technology and things he has introduced, like recursion and these recursive endpoints, Markdown, are exactly the kinds of things that I wanted to be able to do this art, to be able to write articles, to be able to link, even research, to be able to like, basically what I'm doing is there's an art piece, but like anybody now going forward is going to have an opportunity to record their own brain data. And then as through this parent-child link, the child of that inscription will actually be the brain data. And so you can like through your own brain customize this art. And so I think Ordinals kind of was this opportunity to experiment and create this kind of technology that, enables all of the things I kind of want to do and put the brain on Bitcoin.
Mamba, have you looked at the ordinals side of NFTs?
I have, yeah. And it's cool that you're using recursion, because I thought that's pretty interesting, just expanding upon what you can do. I mean, I kind of love the idea of art on Bitcoin, because it's like the OG chain. But like, I definitely have my questions, and there's a reason why I haven't done it yet. So, but it's just like I'm curious about what are the real actual best ways to put art on Bitcoin.
Like if it's the best way or how?
Like sorry, there's a phone ringing in my house. I just have certain questions, I guess. Like, I've from the research that I was doing, it's like when you inscribe the first one on a sat is like that's what you want, right? You want to be like the first one on a sat. You don't want to be like one of the other layers, something like that.
It's interesting. So Bitcoin, like each Satoshi the way Casey's kind of designed it, like each Satoshi has a number and is a canvas, so like there are different ways to think about that. Like you could have if you inscribe on the first side of a block, it's called an uncommon, but there's this whole like rarity idea that is definitely really cool, but it's not like it it's something you have to do. It's like, I think for me, if it fits into the story of what I'm trying to do, it's really cool. Like like you can basically, I just think of it like a canvas, and it's like if I don't know, if I wanted to paint on like a wood canvas, and there was like a tree or something that was from a certain time, so getting that particular canvas, or like a metal that I wanted to paint on, or something. That's kind of how I think about like this whole rarity and like the sats. But it's not something that's like you have to think about it. I think you can just kind of inscribe your art. I think like one of the main things that I think is the value prop, I guess, or proposition, is like, if you believe that it's valuable to preserve things on Bitcoin. I think like it kind of boils down to that. Like if it's cool to preserve your art or to put art on Bitcoin in some way, that makes it really neat. And then the second is like, if you want to like experiment and create like new tech or something to enable new types of experiences like recursion, or like do on-chain publishing, or like hyperlinks or stuff like on Bitcoin, then Ordinals is a protocol that kind of lets you do that.
That's like the equivalent of like IPFS on ETH, right?
Yeah, I guess the one of the key differences that with IPFS, that's like a kind of a different storage mechanism that's not inherent or like on Ethereum itself. But with Bitcoin, with ordinals, it's actually on chain. Like the data that is inscribed is on Bitcoin. So if like an Amazon server goes down or whatever, your art's not going to go away. As long as Bitcoin is around, it's going to be there. The ordinals protocol are kind of like those 3D glasses you wear when you go into like a movie. It's like everybody who puts on these glasses and like through the lens of the ordinals protocol can see the art. Like it's there, it's like etched, but like maybe it's like only visible if you're kind of using the ordinals protocol. And people can fork it, or like the ordinals protocol, I think, is gonna exist in for a long time as well. But it's like kind of that layer that like the data is on Bitcoin, and then the way to view that data is through the ordinals protocol.
The other thing that I'll add to that as it relates to like, does it have to be on an early SAT, or on what kind of a SAT? So when it first came out, there was the deal that if you were one of the earliest subscribers, right, so like 10K and below, then it's that much more of a value, just because it's a lot sooner. That narrative has changed a little bit, and so has the narrative on like if it's more worth it to do an uncommon versus a common one, or the other types of ordinals that there are. So a pizza and all these other kinds that there are. As time progresses, and a lot of those are either taken, or just even the idea of whether it's whether it's a lot more valuable than just a regular one, the narrative of that has changed. And I think that it's more accepted, just period, now, that if you are inscribing on an ordinal, just the fact that it is on Bitcoin, and just the fact that it is on that blockchain, then that's enough. What would you say about that, Neuro, from an artist perspective?
You can't shit on the degens. Degens got a degen, right? No, in all seriousness, I think it's part of the beauty of the space, right? Like it's the culture. Like we just gotta admit, like it's still a speculative situation, right? And I think that this aspect, I think was a really cool thing that Casey kind of seeded initially, as like there are fundamental properties of Bitcoin. Like every time a block comes out, the first SAT of it, could be interesting, or like when there's at the halving, or like things like that. That's where those rarity terms come from. It's like these kind of different interesting events that happen on Bitcoin, and he kind of put that out there, and people thought that was interesting. Totally. Like I think early on, it was a big thing, because there was a lot of like people didn't know what is ordinals, like what's it capable of, but like, hey, there's this like stuff that's rare or whatever, so just like go for it. I think now it's definitely matured, where you can't just like put something that's total crap on like a a supposedly rare sat and people think it's cool. Like nobody really cares, you know. I think it's really cool in that way, where I think artists have a lot of the power, and people who want to experiment authentically to tell their story and to have it work with their art, I think makes it really powerful. So like for me, for whatever reason, nines throughout my life just show up a lot, like our anniversary, my birthdays and stuff. And so I kind of played with that number. Like there are 9 realms that I play with, like the physical, mental, spiritual, etc. And so for me, it was kind of cool to play with and inscribe my piece of work on these block 9 sats, which block 9 is the first block of Bitcoin that it was actually released into circulation. The previous ones before that are still in Satoshi's wallet. So for me, like that was kind of fun and cool. I don't necessarily like my first post. It was like, I happened to do, I think one of the first like parent-child set of pieces that were on block 9 sats and that were not, cursed. So that was cool to share that. But like, it's not something even now, it's not something I like lead with. It's like it's a cool thing, like it's fun. But I think it just adds to the art. Like a lot of my pieces in that way, yeah, like I just kind of incorporate the sats as a canvas in ways that make sense, like if there's a name or something that's appealing or a timestamp. But I think a lot of artists are kind of looking at things in that way, that it's more like, how does this relate to the story, and how does it actually make the art like meaningful?
Yeah, I get that part of it. I guess I'm just like more so focused on like what's the actual like best, most sustainable thing to do. Like I don't want to just throw my stuff out like willy-nilly. Like, oh, who cares? Like just, it's just really important to me that I know that I'm putting it on the chain like the correct best way to do it. That's all.
That makes a lot of sense. I think maybe the one of the most powerful things about Bitcoin ordinals is on-chain provenance. So this idea of parent-child link. So what you can do is, like in my collection, for example, I have like this, what I call an ancestor. That's just like this abstract piece, and then all my future works or collections or whatever I want descend from this piece. So like everybody can know just by literally going on Bitcoin. They don't have to go on Twitter. They don't have to like do anything else. They can just go to any Ordinals Explorer, which you can even run yourself, and basically just see like, oh, Neuro's work is like from here. So if somebody else is saying like, oh, like if Mumbot, you decide to do something, somebody else is like copying your work, you can be like, no, that's not mine. Like clearly, like it doesn't descend from this chain. And that I think gives a lot of power, because it's cool to think about if we like zoom out, if we believe that like, I definitely believe Bitcoin is going to be around. I don't know that it'll be around for hundreds or thousands of years, but I'm pretty sure my daughter is going to be able to experience it in 10 or 20 years. And I think it's really cool that like she doesn't need anyone else to explain my art to her, except that she can just go and look at it herself, and like what I've written, and like it doesn't matter what anyone in the future says about it. Like she can go onto Bitcoin and look and like follow this chain and be like, okay, this is like the body of work, and see like all the different collections. So I think like that on-chain provenance aspect is really, really powerful. And so like maybe that could be a way that you could think about like giving yourself some flexibility, but like you can kind of create like an abstract piece that kind of gives you some flexibility. And then from there, as you're like vibing and feeling it out, you can kind of inscribe some other works, that are just like linked under it. It's kind of cool. I think there's like a big there's like a big openness to experimentation for sure on ordinals. There's no like right or wrong at this point. It's just like come and try stuff, and it's gonna be awesome if it's like, if even if like, dude, I think every significant inscription Elok and I did for this whole year, like in every collection there was like one stupid typo or like serious issue. Like we made this game that started out with game over, like we put on all this work and it just like loaded the game over screen. So I think it's kind of a vibe too, that like it's just it's experimenting, and that's fun.
Can I just chime in? Because
please.
All right, I loved what you just said. That's like, that's a great way to mindset to have, that to feel like you can experiment and play around in there. And also thank you, you're providing a lot of important information. I feel like that's really helpful to the way you're breaking it down. So I'm totally thinking more about it. The only thing though I want to say is like, it is hard to just experiment on Bitcoin because it's freaking expensive.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. There are test environments, and that's one thing that I think even like Trevor was very interested in, like building out better test environments. But there totally are, and there's Reg Test, which is you can just through Bitcoin Core. I could show you, just set up like a whole testing environment where you can just like experiment, do a bunch of inscriptions that way before you ever have to push it to mainnet. So.
Oh,
there's a platform, Gamma. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but Gamma has really stepped forward and like putting art first, fine art. I would say they're kind of leading the way in that right now, and have partnered with a lot of different artists from Ethereum to come over to the Bitcoin side, and are kind of walking, hand walking them through the experience on that. So happy to connect you with them too, Mambad, if that's something that you're interested in.
Heck yeah. Yeah. A couple art friends I saw recently did some drops on Gamma, so I thought that was interesting. Cool.
Yeah, that's the one to get with right now. Yeah, super interesting. I want to dive a little bit more into your personal style and provenance for you, right? Right behind you, you have a lot of work, and your style of art, speaking to like when you were saying a lot of nines incorporated and a lot of different styles. Yours is really vibrant, beautiful, colors behind you. And I was reading a little bit about, you've been doing this for a long time, right? You've been an artist since you were a child, but what has evolved? I'd really love to learn your story of like how you even discovered digital art, and why you adopted it as a digital artist, right? And what is it about it that continues to like inspire you to show up every day?
Okay, yeah. Well, I feel like, just one common thread is storytelling. I'm definitely passionate about storytelling and all the different ways to approach it. So, like, from more illustrative work to animation and film, and uh, everything that I do, I'm like trying to experiment and explore like how to expand the experience of storytelling, and how to expand how people experience my characters and my world and the lore. So, whether it's through play, so like actually like the, creation of the toys and the figures, there's like a range of them, right? Like I have um the more accessible pieces, the plush, to the toys that I like meticulously and laboriously sitting there hand painting. And then, you know like my background, I went to school of visual arts in New York City for 2D animation. And actually, I had, all these other courses I was taking that weren't required. I was taking all these side courses, and some of them were because of like I also had a love for like digital art, and so I was taking courses that weren't really traditional for my path. And actually, one of the courses I took in college was a flash animation class, and the reason why is actually because since I was about 14 years old, I was introduced to Joshua Davis, PlayStation. He's like a legend in the generative code art realm. And he had this website that had like interactive animation where you would come in, and his main page, you could like mess with it and it would react to how what you played with. It was very playful and innovative and cool. And I always thought that I would always go back and check out what his, because it was always changing. He was always changing his site. Anyway, long story short, I was in his class and I didn't know he would be the instructor. He just like showed up and was the teacher. And it was like,
Wow.
yeah, and so fast forward like 20 years later, he's the one who gave me my first foundation invite, which is uh where I put my Genesis, my solo Genesis NFT. I had another NFT with my collaboration partner, Cyrus James Khan, as well. And so, just exploring like getting into how to do more animation digitally at that time was really helpful to me. Like I I had been focused more on my 2D work for sure and like more traditional work, but also toys and physical goods, 3D, sculptural and whatnot. And then I think I I think it was like pandemic time, and I was like, um, you know, really like wishing I had more options, to also to monetize, all the things that we do as artists. And um, I just thought that that was such a game changer to have, the NFTs just like open that whole pathway up for people of all types of mediums, from photography to filmmaking. And and I thought, wow, it's like there's like this whole other side to me and what I do and what I've loved doing that I haven't been able to really delve into or tap into because, I've kind of had to focus more on things that were collectible,
Mm,
in a sense, Um, and I've always, like, had the things I do on the side that aren't, there's no financial thing involved, I've always been building, like, the storyline, the lore, and, I've always had my sketchbooks, and I've always had, like, the experimentation work, but, it was like, just knowing like I somebody would want like this piece that normally maybe you were using it just to share on social media,
mm,
like for engagement or something. Like maybe this because it's a piece of art, really is.
mhm.
So anyway, I don't know, I'm lost. I just started talking. I don't even I think there was a question somewhere, but I just
No, I like the storytelling aspect of it, and I think that answers the question, right? Of why you keep showing up and what interests you and how do you weave it in? Why the ghost?
Oh, so there's like a lot of answers to that, but okay, I'll try to do like a summary. Basically, the ghost is, um, in some ways, the ghost represents like everyone, and I wanted something that isn't bound by like any specific gender or uh, identification. It's like I wanted something unifying, and then that anyone can relate to, and then what better thing than also focusing on like, our mortality and that
Mm,
we all have like a limited amount of time on this planet and what we do with that time uh is huge, is crucial. And just thinking about that. So like there's some of that involved in like the content, but also a ghost in general was also a way for me to kind of cross themes that are difficult. So I like happen to want to explore like not only positive uh happy things that make you happy and bring joy, but I also want to be able to discuss more difficult things and subject matter and like things that are darker. And um that character has just allowed me to do that. And I don't know, not everybody needs these things. Not everybody needs like these contexts to be able to navigate their art or move forward as an artist, but I do, and it's helped me. And it was also one of the earliest characters that I just felt like resonated. Like I was never sick of drawing it. I was just noticing I was including it in things and I've had a lot of characters come and go, and it stuck. And um, it's a subject matter that for me will always be relevant. And um, and I noticed it's just resonated with people of all ages, young and old, uh, and people from all backgrounds. So that's been something really cool about it.
mm. I really like that. I think that those kind of self reminders, right? I would imagine that every time that you see it, you remind yourself once again of the vulnerability attached to it. And I think that that's really, really cool. Neuro, you kind of have the same idea, right? With like the genesis of this.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting. One thing I didn't mention was that when we started Cypherpunk Lab a year ago, we started a project called Cypherpunk Ghosts, which the idea was to create art that could tell the story of Bitcoin and the cypherpunks movement. And the cypherpunks movement started in the early 90s with like legends, the Satoshi, Hal Finney, Julian Assange, like all these incredible pioneers in the internet as we know it, privacy, basically preserving human freedom. Like we were like, okay, to tell the story of Bitcoin, we have to start with these the cypherpunks. And so we kind of came up with this fun art that are the ghosts of the cypherpunks, and it kind of evolved into this idea, and kind of what Neurorealm has become is like, well, what are the ghosts of the past, present, and future, that are leaving their story on Bitcoin, and especially for neuropunks, the idea is like, what is the extension of the cypherpunks movement in a world where Elon has all your brain data, and humans are merged with AI. Like if you have implants, if you're even with like the Apple Vision Pro and things like this, there's so much data that's coming from your brain, and it's like, who is controlling this? Like, are you they can even transmit information faster than your brain can process it, and so it can like intercept your thoughts and like literally control your mind, because you can deliver information faster than your brains can send it. And so the neuropunks are kind of this like extension, or what are the ghosts of the future, or the ghosts around freedom of the mind, and that's kind of where the Neurorealm is playing around with, is like, what does it mean to have a free mind in terms of exploration and health, etc., in a world where like we already are, I think like Elon says this, and I agree with it, we're already cyborgs, like we're on a screen right now, we're always like, using phones, etc., and there's like gray matter, atrophy, like your gray matter is like getting destroyed in your brain over time just looking at screens. And so the ghost vibe is totally there. And I think the masks I like to play with, because it's like the masks are this kind of unique way that your brain has so much power to recognize faces, and masks really work your brain in a like very funky way. They like they twist your, they like, masks can make us feel a little bit weird, because they're a little different. And the way I like to play around with it is like, yeah, what are the ghosts, or what are the spirits kind of behind the masks, and who, who, like, we all wear many different masks in life, but I like this idea that we're all going to be ghosts one day in some form in the physical world, and that's kind of where the genesis of my work started too, with my late brother, with Vinny, that he's no longer in the physical realm, but like he's more than ever in the spiritual and emotional. And so like his ghost, and it's like it's present, right? And so I think I like that concept for sure, that we all have ghosts around us, and like there is there's like this kind of, yeah, I guess like ghosts are kind of considered spooky and stuff, but I think ghosts are just in other ways like spirits that are with us, and so I really like that aspect of it.
Totally. Neuro, we gotta talk more.
Let's do it. Let's do some ghost stuff. Yeah. I love your art, by the way. I love the colors and that mushroom plush. Did you make that mushroom there?
Yes, that's Shumi Mashroomy. And
nice.
Yeah, some of this isn't my art. Some of this is my friend's art.
It's all super cool. I had this one idea with a friend about like recording my brain data while on shrooms and using it to like create some mushroomy effect. So I'm actually working on that. So yeah, I mean, totally can. Yeah, anybody who wants to record their brain while in crazy situations and make art, like that's the idea. Is let's do it.
I've done the brain. I've done the brain thing. I've done the thing where you wear the thing, and yeah, I got some brain therapy. I actually have a brain injury. I have a permanent brain injury, and yeah, and I was having issues with like short-term memory loss for a couple years, and I was doing this like brain therapy, and my brain signals would like affect, like I would have to like watch something, and it would affect how I watched it to train my brain.
Totally.
It worked. It literally, like, I just consistently did that for, I probably say like a year and a half, and it worked.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of neurofeedback stuff I'm building too. Like I have a cap that collects the data and a VR, that's like tied to it. That is exactly, it's like modulating based on your thoughts, like what you're seeing. And it's fun. That's, yeah, I'm glad it worked. What do you remember what device or what you used for that?
I could probably look it up. I don't remember at the moment, but
all good. Still.
That's so interesting. See, I knew there was a good connection between the two of you. Like I knew it. It's so like I said, it wasn't planned. It just kind of happened, and I thought, you know what, this is a really good one. They both have very similar, ways of thinking. I think. Yeah.
Even hearing some of the stuff that you're tapping into, I have like actually I could talk. I don't want to take over about it, but like I have some art projects I've done that you'd dig.
Sweet. That's awesome.
That's
yeah, let's
awesome.
definitely talk more about it. And Belle, you're the best for connecting us. Thank you.
Yes,
and
no, of course,
making this all happen. You're totally involved or welcome to join this like brain ghost powwow too. You or anybody else who's listening, like for sure. This
I
is
appreciate it. No,
awesome.
I appreciate it. I want to ask you both. And by the way, I'm gonna Neuro has been very kind to give out 3 spots for the new project and entering the Neurorealm. And so that's going to be really cool. So what we're going to ask from everybody is to comment down in the bottom right-hand corner, comment something about what this project means to you. Like, what does a Neurorealm mean to you? And then Neuro is going to be picking 3 people from there, hopefully either by the end of this or like right after. Is that right, Neuro? Right after.
Why don't we each pick one? That'd be fun.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That'd be cool.
There you go. So type it down at the bottom, and that'll be a really good idea. And yeah, we can each pick one. And if anybody has any questions, now's the time. Start raising up your hand. I'll bring you up on the stage, and let's get some questions in here. Until then, Mumbot, I want to ask you, what do you have going on for 2024? What does the year look like for you?
Oh yeah. So a ghostess, my ghost, who can you see? A ghostess?
Yes.
There's a physical plush in space. Well, actually today they undocked from I don't know if you're familiar with Axiom Space, but that's how I kicked off my 2024, and it's actually been really cool to be a part of this project. It's called Space Grails, and it was myself, Snowfro, Jordan Lyle, Richard Z Photos, Dr. Cyan Proctor, Dave Krugman, and Amber Vittoria. We all were a part of Space Grails, and we basically created artwork, and we're allowed to have a physical component that actually went up in space on the AX3 mission, which is the first all European commercial space flight. And it has been up in space for 2 weeks and literally just undocked this morning from the International Space Station. So it will be splashing down in 2 days. So that's what I have going on right this second. But then I have a few other projects that I'm working on. I have a solo show coming up in July in California at UHF Gallery, and I have another one in the Philippines coming up in September. 5 Points Festival. That's in New York. I'm a part of that. That'll be really fun. And I have stuff that I can't really talk about that I'm doing, but I share everything in my Discord, and I share everything there first, and then I share it usually across my socials if anybody wants to check out other things I have going on.
That's awesome. That is so different, right? What was it? Space Link? Is that what it is?
Space Grails.
Space Grails.
It's pretty epic. It's
awesome.
I'm pretty sure I can say a ghostess is the first ghost in space.
Congratulations on that. Yeah, that's super cool.
Cyan Proctor and that's awesome. They're so cool.
So inspiring.
Yeah.
Super inspiring. Yeah, I got to go to the launch. I got to hang out with a bunch of them. And just Dr. Proctor, she like drove us around. She was like driving us around, and we were like all in the backseat like the kids.
Taking a field trip?
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's awesome. We actually do have one person that requested to speak. Friend of the show, Studio Pyman. How are you?
Hi, Pyman. I can't hear. I gotta turn on my.
Mombot can't hear you. Oh, Studio Pyman. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for coming up and talking about it. And yes, I love having both of you on. I think that, I'm a big fan of what both of you have built and what both of you are building. So it makes me happy. Mamba, did you hear any of that?
Yeah, it's just lag.
Okay, cool.
It was super laggy for me for some reason.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you were at least able to hear that. I'll give you both an opportunity. Yeah, I'll give you both an opportunity to reply.
Thank you.
So sweet.
Yeah.
We're trying to be like super ahead of the times and live streaming and doing spaces, and we're getting there. We're getting there slowly but surely. Oh, just wait until next week when I try to link up YouTube along with it. We'll see how that works. Yes. Yeah. It'll be great. It'll be great. I love you having like being on the show and your support. Always, I appreciate you. Neuro, let's talk about you and let's get ready to give away these whitelists. I'm super excited. If there's anything that we haven't already touched upon in the project, like happy to give you some time to talk about it right now. I really want people to understand what your vision is behind it and what they can look forward to it, etc. And then let's pick the people.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think, in simple, I think what we're trying to do is, like I was mentioning, that I think this term patient is, it can be helpful, but it can be really problematic. So the goal of the Neurorealm is to make everybody into like a neuropunk, and that could mean if you're totally healthy, that, which is amazing. I mean, we all go through tough times in life. That's just part of being human. But the idea is that, you can always be a badass, I think, through art. And there's this kind of beautiful thing that I think, that we're creating, where you just have to wear a cap, and wherever your brain is at, even if you feel you're broken or things are not right, whatever, you can make incredible art, from your brain, just by wearing this cap, right? And just by being beautifully, authentically who you are. And that is what the Neurorealm, like, at its core, is about. And so anybody who is, in the Neurorealm and is kind of, a collector or just a community member, that's going to be an opportunity for you if you're in the Neurorealm community, and to be able to have a chance to participate in these events where, we'll do painting, where we do brain recording, so you can have your own, your brain recorded, either, at a live event where, if you're able to come in person, or, we are working on a more affordable, or a headset, which, aspirationally, I would like to include for anyone who, does collect the art. But that, is something we're working towards. So the big idea is that, being a part of community that can, truly, like, just channel your own mind, your brain, as it is, as a starting point to make really cool art, and to be a part of a community that is trying to explore, the mind, the brain reality through art. So that's what the Neurorealm's all about.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Look, I am looking through the comments right now. Actually, I should give another second. If anybody wants to update and add any new comments on here, comment on why you want to join the Neurorealm. And we're going to be picking 3 people. I'm going to do the first one. And I'm going to pick 4696 that wrote community, which is exactly what you just talked about.
Love it.
Mumbat, how about you?
I'm still reading comments.
Okay.
I like NFT Mama's comment, neuro authentically who you are.
Oh, that's cute. Yes.
Beautiful. I love it. I mean, it's amazing. Spirit Zero, I think the one's mind is everything, key to bridge the way. That's cool. Yeah. I think that the mind can do incredible things that we don't have any idea about. So I like that one.
That is really cool. All right. Well, on that, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We do the show every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every single week, we have on new creators and artists and founders, etc., on the show. I like to dig into what makes you you and what makes you different and why you do the things that you do. So every time, these conversations, in my opinion, are different and deep. And that's exactly the way that I like it. If this is your first time joining us, I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Seriously, you could have been anywhere else and you chose to be with us. Mumbat, I'm going to give you the last word. And then Neuro, thank you for showing up today. Anything you want to tell us on your last words?
My last words are follow everybody here, especially follow Belle and Neuro. They're awesome.
Yeah, last words are Belle and Mumbat are total badasses, and definitely keep following them. Thank you so much, Belle, for putting this together and inviting me on here. That was exactly the spirit. It's collaboration, healthy, fun competition, like a sports type of competition. But I think we all crypto and Bitcoin NFTs is still a very small thing in the grand scheme of things, and I think we all rise together. So I think anything that interested people who heard this, like, don't be intimidated at all. Just reach out. I think people who are creating cool stuff, I think, are just really very excited to do cool things with people that care. So excited to with both you, Belle, and Mumba, and anybody else who wants to just vibe on making cool things. Looking forward to that.
I love that. All right, guys. See you next week. Thank you for joining us. If you didn't know, now you know. See you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.